Hey guys, Judd here, back from the 2024 Barra Classic in Darwin. Just finished cleaning up the boat, going off over all the gear, and just thought I'd do a video of some of the rods and lures, line that we use for the tournament. We're lucky enough to be supported by EJ Todd. Obviously they distribute Dobyns rods, Sunline, OMTD hooks, jig heads, and then obviously some van foot trebles which we used all week. So first off, I'll cover off on some rods and then cover some lures and some techniques that we used. First one here, Sierra 703. So I use this Sierra 703 in the pre-fish a lot, just scoping out what techniques we're going to use on the daily, how we're going to catch fish for the tournament. With the 703 Sierra, I was casting small hard bodies, obviously using live scope in slack water. Very successful with that. The 703 is tippy enough. It allows your jerk baits and all that to suspend and not be too violent when you're jerking them. I'll cover off on the 703 HP. So this is, once the pre-fish was over, I changed to the 703 HP. Obviously, sensitivity, the quality of the blank is a lot higher than the Sierra. The Sierras are still really good, but the HPs, they're just phenomenal. The feel you get from the 703 when working rubbers through timber, vibes and anything like that is just phenomenal. The team, I think we had 3 of these 703s on board for the whole tournament, used throughout the day. Just one of the best feeling rods that you can use for the smaller sort of rubbers and that sort of stuff. Here we go, here's the benchmark of Dobyns rods at the moment currently. So this is the new one, the Ecstasy. This is a 723. This is my one. Obviously it looks brand new. That's because I only used it a few times, because I'll explain why later. The 723 Ecstasy is one of the best rods I've ever felt for casting small hard bodies, vibes. The boys use theirs all week for vibes. We didn't think the 703 HP could get any better, but these Ecstasies are next level. The sensitivity and what you get from the blank in return through the reel seat to your feel, especially when fishing deep timber. We were using a lot of these for vibes in deep timber, and the boys just couldn't fault them. You'd feel your lure hit the timber and you could just bounce it off, and we had great success using the rods. The reason why I said mine looks brand new is because I prefer, it's just a personal preference, is the 703 SF. So this is obviously a spin rod. That's just personal preference for me. I like using vibes, hopping them up like that. I just prefer the feel with the spin with vibes on timber. This is an 8 to 17 pound rod, more than enough to fish deep timber in the daily and those deeper saltwater creeks that you want to fish with vibes. I also use this for prawns and the like. I didn't use a lot of prawn lures down the daily, just because we found a good vibe bite and the timber was working really well for us, and that's where the boys were using the 723 and the 724. I don't have a 724 here, but we used a 724 in the tournament. That was used a lot in the middle when we're trying to scope fish in the middle. The 4-power just allowed the use of those bigger lures. Excellent blank. Ben was using that with vibes pretty much all day, every day that we're in the timber with vibes. So the next one we got here, 704. So this is a 704 HP. It's a 10 to 20. We had 3 of these on the boat as well. We all love these. So what we're using the 704s for was that 5, 6 inch, 7 inch rubbers, casting in the middle. So obviously the open water, stuff like that, casting lures sort of like this. That's a Molex RT shad 7 inch with an OMTD jig head, and then obviously the Van Fuchs DT58F. They're the new ones they've released. Yeah, excellent hooks. So you can't see it too well. They look thin, but they're ultra strong. We haven't had one bend on fish at all. And now for probably the benchmark of vibing rods, we believe. Everyone that's used the 683 XP will know what I'm talking about. The vibrations from the lure you can feel through this blank is unmatched. We've used a lot of Dobyns rods over the years, and we believe the 683 Champion XP is the best vibe rod you can use. So it's 6'8", 10 to 17, and just that little bit shorter than the 7 foot rod just allows that bit better feel, especially through timber and on an edge bite. We were using these rods all week in the timber for vibing and casting smaller sort of jerk baits and that, but mainly just vibes. This is the vibe rod that we use. A lot of the guys in the territory that use these, they just use them for vibes. Like I solely will use a 683 to cast vibes other than the 703 spin, depending on location and where I'm fishing. And then the bigger one that I had on the boat, so this is a 745 Cadence. This is what I've used for a couple of years now. It's got a full handle, awesome blanks. The Cadence are at a very good price range just for a lot of anglers. This is a 7'4", 12 to 25 pounds, so it is a beastie rod compared to the other ones. What I'm using that for is casting like your Molex 140s, 7 inch, 9 inch lures in the middle for the Barra and that you can get up on the live scope in the middle. I was also using this on an edge bite casting like the 100 mil Molexes, jerk baits every now and then. It's a tad heavy for a jerk bait rod, but it was still working. But yeah, I didn't put this rod down all week. Absolutely sensational. Caught some big Barra on it. Caught a lot of big cod on it too. So if any of you cod anglers, highly recommend the 745 in the Cadence series. So that's the rods that we used. Mainly the standouts for us are the 683 and the XP. Just for vibes, that got used all week. Obviously my personal preference is the 703 spin, and then the Ecstasy. So the Ecstasies are new to Dobyns Australia. They are by far the best feeling blank out of the Dobyns range we've ever felt. We didn't think the HPs could get any better, but they've stepped it up. So recommend getting in, having a feel. You won't look back with the Ecstasy. So the 723, I'd recommend you using your smaller hard bodies, rubbers, and obviously your vibe. The feel you get with them, yeah, is sensational. And then obviously the ones that we're using most of the day is the 703 HP and the 704. Yeah, we're using those for just the middle, the edge, all that. They didn't get put in the rod locker. They stayed on the deck and used all day. Now we'll cover off on some of the line and leader that we used. So obviously it varied between reels what we had, but I used the Sunline Assegai. On the bigger rod I had 50 pound, on all the other reels I had 40 pound. I've used this for a few years now and it hasn't let me down. Even pulling lures off snags and that doesn't let you down at all. It doesn't break. Abrasive resistance in the timber. We're fishing big snags all week and pull your vibe back out of the timber. Nothing wrong with the braid. Even when you're getting bricked into the timber, sometimes you can pull the barra out and the line was fine. I run FC Rock. Obviously FC Rocks have a bit of a facelift, but it's still the same quality leader. I've used this for years and will continue to use it for years. It just hasn't let me down. It's good for knots. And same again, in that timber, the abrasive resistance is just what you need. So a lot of the lures we used, we kept the standard hooks on them until we needed to change. If we found we needed to change, a lot of the time I would go to the DT 58F from Vanfoot. They got a PTFE coating, so it's really slick and the hookup rate's excellent with these. They're thinner than your 6x hook, but they hold on as well as a 6x. And if we really needed to beef them up, we'd go to the 6x. The 3x were good as well. If we're fishing in the timber and we needed to get lures back or straighten hooks to get a lure back rather than lose a lure, we found the 3x were working really well. Just so we didn't lose as many lures in the timber, because when you're on a hot bite you don't want to be putting a pole down or a lure bomb. We'll just straighten the hooks, put a new hook on it and then crack on. A lot of the jig heads I used for the comp, the OMTD 6Os, so they're an extremely strong hook. I've used them for a couple of years now. So that's your 6O there. That's a 7-inch Molex RT shad, so you can see it's got a good hook gate and it's got the assist there. Yeah, can't beat them. This year we didn't use a lot of jerk baits because we found the jerk bait bite was a bit slow in the pre-fish. And if we were using jerk baits, we found ourselves going to the creeks where we weren't finding a lot of those fish that we needed to for the tournament, better scoring fish. But when we did go to the jerk baits, the pointers, this is in there's spending. That's a DD, so it dives to about 2 meters. They're really good for your creek mouths and all that. Obviously, standout colour usually is the greens up there. Some days though, in the pre-fish and that, I was getting good responses on the smoky shad, I think it's called. Really good. That's a 78 pointer though, and that's the XD. They dive to about 3 meters, so it's all location specific to what lures you're going to use. The Ever Faithful Molex 100. These things just catch fish. If you're fishing an edge or a ledge or a mud flat and there's mullet around, they just match the hatch and you'll catch fish on them all day. Found a lot of fish leading up to the tournament on a mud flat. We couldn't get them to eat a lot of lures. They'd either eat a timber or I threw this at them. So this is a Biwa submission on a Owner Flashy. It worked well. Also ran them on a jig head. They work really well. Mullet imitation lure. Really good lures. So yeah, that's some of the products we use from EJ Todd and Dobyns rods. If you've got any questions or anything, make sure you message either EJ Todd or Dobyns Rods Australia. They'll be able to help you out. But yeah, top takeaway from the tournament would be the 683 for vibing. It was just phenomenal rod. It caught a lot of fish. Same for the Ecstasies. Those Ecstasies are just the top shelf rod. The sensitivity is just unreal. and I'll continue to use it, especially up around the Townsville here, fishing the flats and that. Can't wait. Anyway, thanks guys.